everybody to episode 13 of the Black Wealth Renaissance Podcast.
Number 13. What's good, everybody? How y'all doing?
What's good?
Man, we got a super special episode for y'all today. We got none other than Mr. Rashad Bilal with us, the man that's making financial literacy cool again, man. That's the cool dude. Rashad, how you feeling, my brother?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on, man. We appreciate you, man, taking your time out today. Talk to us, bro.
Nah, no problem, man. For sure. I like what y'all doing. So anything I can do to help, for sure. No problem.
Dope. Well, Rashad, man, before we get into everything that we want to ask you, we'd like you to introduce yourself to our following and kind of give them a background of who you are and how you got where you are today.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm a financial advisor. That's what I do for a living. So I've been doing that for 11 years. And recently, in the last couple of years, I started being more active on social media with my Instagram, and that kind of developed the following on Instagram. Then we built the podcast off of that. So pretty much just trying to teach financial literacy. I teach a class, a high school class as well. So I say I'm a financial advisor, but I'm more of a coach, I think, in a sense, because I just try to teach people about money, just like how you guys are doing. We all doing it in our own way, but really just try to educate the people about finances, about money, about investing, all things economic. That's kind of my niche.
Oh, my
That's
brother.
dope, man.
Yeah, because that's what the culture needs. It's so dope what y'all got going on, especially with Earn Your Leisure. It's one of the biggest podcasts out there right now. And it's really.
Last time I checked, it was top 30, and you climbing more.
I'm in the streets right now.
Yeah. We don't really try to get hung up on the numbers though. The numbers are good though. It is good. We was top 30. We swing between the top 30, top 50. But really, it's more so. It sounds cliche, but just the reaction that we get from the people saying yo, you changed my life, and I don't gotta sell drugs no more and stuff like that. So to me, that's more rewarding than the numbers. But of course, the numbers are good to see. But I like to get the feedback from the people, and so far it's been real encouraging. So that means more to me than the numbers, really.
Yeah, man, that means you're doing it from the soul, and you're just doing it out of the goodness of your heart, bro.
Yeah, that's what it's about, man. Each one teach one, for sure.
Amen.
Sure, man.
So, Rashad, one of the first questions I wanted to get into with you, you an athlete. You played some professional ball. You played in college out here. You played overseas, and your career got ended by injury. I played some college ball myself football. And it's one big thing, a lot of people don't think about it, but that transition from athlete to the career life is something that a lot of people, it's a struggle in itself. So I'd like to know how you went from an athlete to being a financial advisor.
It is a struggle. You see a lot of people who can't make the transition. They try to play basketball for 15 years in low-level leagues and stuff like that, and they never want to, realize that it's over. So for me, I never really looked at it like that. I was always the type of person where I'm always up for a new challenge. I'm always willing to do something new. So I kind of was a little burnt out with basketball because I played basketball my whole life. Down south, football is huge. But in New York, it's all about basketball. So I was playing basketball since I was 8 years old. So literally every single day for 15 years, that's all I did was play basketball. So after a while, it started to not even become fun for me anymore. So I really didn't have that hard of a transition because I kind of was ready to move on and do something else anyway. So I think that was kind of a blessing looking back on it now that I actually lost the love for it because that allowed me to just move on with my life and not kind of get stuck and just trying to pursue that forever. But it is difficult for a lot of people I see with sports, football, basketball, any kind of sport to just, transition because it's you get stuck doing something for so long and that's kind of, you feel like that's all that you know how to do, all that you want to do. And even on a professional level, you see professional athletes when they retire, a lot of times they don't know what they're going to do next because they never prepared themselves to do anything next. So I think it's important to, always be well-versed and be interested in other things, not just one thing, whether it be music or sports, whatever it is. That's great, but you got to be, interested in more than just that, what you're doing for the moment, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And how'd you get into financial advising though? Is that something you were going to school for?
Yeah, no, it's not actually, and that's something that I mean, to be honest, I got a degree in communication, so my degree is actually nothing to really do what I'm doing now. You know, being a financial advisor, you have to pass tests like the life insurance test, health insurance test, and a series like, you know, securities license to get you. So long story short, these tests take time after you graduate school. So it took me like 6 months to actually pass all these tests. So I would have had to do that even if I went to business school. So it's kind of like I went to college after I went to college. And yeah, what I'm doing now really has nothing to do with what I really got a degree in, to be honest. So, but I always liked I always liked business. I always liked business. I always knew I wanted to be in business in some capacity. I didn't know what realm it would be, but I always had a passion for business. So I knew that I wanted to be in business in some capacity, for sure.
That's dope, bro. That's definitely dope, man.
I like one thing you had touched on with the sports thing and getting over the end of it. I feel like a part of it that, like, when people in our culture specifically, the reason they struggle with that transition so much is because we look at sports as one of the only ways to make it out. Like that's like, man, we gotta make it because it's the only way we gonna get it. And I love that whenever you got tired of the sport, you found another avenue, especially in like the financial world, to make a difference and like really progress yourself as a person.
Yeah, no, it's important, man. You know, it's like Biggie said it, and it's sad, but it's kind of true. A lot of times when we grow up, he was like, either you slaying crack rocks or you got a wicked jump shot. Pretty much saying like either you selling drugs or you playing sports or you rapping, really. So a lot of times that's how we look at it. Like, you know, in order to be real successful, you either take a illegal route or you become a rapper or athlete, really. And it's like anything other than that, you just get a regular job. A lot of times, you know, that's how we really look at it a lot of times in our communities. But, you know, there's a lot of different ways to make money. And I think that now people are starting to become more financially literate. Pages like your pages and a bunch of other pages on Instagram and stuff like that. You know, financial literacy is in season right now. So it's something that even, you know, our culture, even with the music, a lot of times you hear it in the music, people talking about investing and buying real estate and stuff like that. So I feel like the tide is turning, and it's a good time right now to be an entrepreneur, to be an investor, to teach people about money, because people are receptive to it, where, you know, maybe 5 years ago they might not have been receptive to it, but right now everybody's interested in financial literacy. So hopefully, you know, it's not a fad. Hopefully it continues and it only grows.
Yeah, hopefully. I feel the same way. Like, it is starting to be, like he said, it's becoming cool in the community now that you want to become financially literate. And I think it's because people are tired of, like you said, taking those other routes, being a drug dealer, because they see what's happening. We're tired of, not everybody going to play ball. Not everybody can go out there and shoot 500 threes like Steph Curry. So I feel like they're finally figuring it out and saying, okay, there's got to be another step because other people are doing it. And people like Jay-Z becoming a billionaire now, it's like, okay, if he can do it, he puts out albums, but he has so much more than just his album.
He didn't become a billionaire through rap.
Yes.
He became a billionaire through being financial literate, being an investor, being able to understand ways that he can put his money places and let his money grow.
Yeah.
So I think it's really big because of now you got social media. Whereas before you might have heard about it, but now seeing it often and through your timeline now, it was more of becoming reoccurring, so people are able to see, okay, I can make money without having to dribble or have to throw a football. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's becoming more and more apparent that you can do it without having to.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I mean, yeah, for sure. Social media is a gift and a curse a lot of times. You know, it's a lot of bad stuff on social media, but it's a lot of good stuff on social media too. And yeah, that is. I never really thought about it like that, but that's true. You know, it's like you get to see entrepreneurs first. I say all the time, social media has given a platform to really for anybody to be a celebrity now. Like, and that's kind of a good thing because now you got teachers that might have 200,000 people that follow them, and they like a celebrity teacher. or you could be a celebrity chef or a celebrity financial advisor, like people like them. So it's like now people are recognizing regular everyday people and kind of like following them just like they're following the celebrities. And that's all because of social media is giving people a platform and an outlet. Even people like myself, I mean, without social media, nobody would really know who I am other than my clients. But now I get to reach a lot of people that may not know who I was if it wasn't for social media. So it's definitely a powerful tool, for sure, social media. And like I said, it's a gift and a curse, but it can definitely do a lot of good, for sure.
I definitely agree, man. I
Like
definitely
they
agree
say,
with
the
social
internet
media.
is the great equalizer.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you mentioned social media because it kind of made me want to get to the next point that we had to kind of bring up with you. So how did Earn Your Leisure come about?
Yeah, Earn Your Leisure. All right, so the whole thing started in LA like 2.5 years ago. So at the time, I was in LA with a friend of mine, and I was telling him, like, you know, I want to do Instagram, but I want to be, all right, I'll back it up for you even more. So a girl that we grew up with from my neighborhood, Valencia Clay, she's a teacher in Baltimore, and she got real Instagram famous. Like what she does is she posts videos of her classroom, and she was going viral. Everybody started following. Rihanna started following her. Shade Room posted her, like all kinds of stuff. Like she's in vogue. She just became really lit. But she's doing positive stuff. Like she's doing like lesson plans and like it's dope. Like it's interesting. So I was kind of using her as an example. Like, yo, she can do it. Like we grew up together. Like I know if she could become dope on online, like I could do it. I want to be her, like the financial advisor version of her. So I sat down with my friend. We kind of put together the game plan. Like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna put these videos out. So it was kind of trial and error. But for 2 years, I built my page, and I kind of found my niche in telling stories about sports and entertainment because that's really what I talk about all day, every day. Anyway, with my friends, like rap and basketball, football, and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, we already talked about this, but I like finance, so let's talk about the financial side. So I started like breaking down deals like 50 Cent, Vitamin Water, and different stuff like that, like Allen Iverson's tax troubles and stuff like that. And people really gravitated towards that, and they found it interesting, but they wanted some extended dialogue. Like 60 seconds just wasn't enough. So I was like, okay, how can I get them more extended dialogue? So I was like, okay, I should do a podcast. So I spoke to my best friend, who's my partner, and I'm like, okay, I want to do a podcast. You want to be my partner? And he's like, yeah, he'll be my partner. So we came up with the name. So he came up with the name. It's actually his name, Earn Your Leisure. The name was before the podcast, but that was kind of the back theme of Earn Your Leisure. It's breaking down the financials of sports and entertainment. It's grown past that now. We do all kinds of stuff, but originally that's what it was about. It was going to be a podcast just based around sports and entertainment, but the financial side of it. But like I said, now it's all things financial. But yeah, we just started it, and the good thing is that neither one of us ever listened to a podcast before, ever. I probably listened to a few podcasts in my whole life, but that's it. So we didn't really know like the format of podcast, how to go about it. So we kind of just developed our own thing, our own formula, and it really worked for us because I didn't know at the time, but from what everybody says, it's like real unique. It's different from a lot of other podcasts. So it's just kind of just happened like that. But it wasn't planned. We didn't really plan to do it. It just kind of came about as all the other stuff is coming about now. Like as we go, we just kind of figuring out like if this is a good idea, we should try this. So the podcast was just one of those things that I just thought would be a good idea. But I want to stress this though, because a lot of times people, they look at our podcast, okay, like we're top 50, top 25 in iTunes, and we're like in the top 10% of the world right now, which is great. But people look at it like it's an overnight success. It may look that way because we just started in December. So the growth is crazy in that amount of time, but it's really not. It's really 2.5 years because that piggybacked my personal page. So my personal page I built for 2 years before the podcast. So it's like the podcast blew up, but it was 2 years of work before that. You know what I'm saying? So I tell people all the time, like a lot of times people, they want to get rich or they want to be successful with contingencies. Like me, I worked my personal page for 2 years. without any compensation. So it's like I tell people all the time, like, are you comfortable working a part-time job for 2 years without getting paid? Most people aren't comfortable doing that. So, you know, like people want to get blow up on Instagram, but they don't understand, like, even that takes work. It's work, and you're not going to see the fruit of your labor right away. It's going to take time. Like, even it might take years before you actually see it. But when it comes to everybody on the outside, it looks like you just blew up overnight. But it doesn't work like that. You know, a tree got deep roots, but you only see the part that's sticking out the ground. So,
man. I said, ooh, man, bro, you touched some stuff, bro.
You said so many things I want to touch on, bro. But like, I really love a couple of the things you said, especially that part about that you put 2.5 years in before you seen the fruits of this. And delayed gratification is what we always talk about. That's our biggest message. It's like people got to understand that if you really want to see some fruits or something, you got to do like you said. You got to plant that tree. You can't see the roots.
Nope.
The roots gonna grow.
And like, because I actually tweeted that off our page a few days ago. I was like, success is like a tree. You have to plant that seed. You got to let it intertwine into the nourishment. That's the skills you're developing. That's the time that it takes for you to develop those skills. There's the time that it takes for that tree to bud up and to blossom into that strong tree. Like, you have to wait. It's not going to come overnight where you go buy a tree from Lowe's and you just put it in the ground. No, it don't work like that. Like, if you actually planting a seed, it's going to take some time. And I love how you did say that and you broke it down and you touched on that point, because a lot of people see these get rich schemes. Oh man, like even with wholesaling, a lot of people see wholesaling and they're like, oh man, I can make this much money right here, right there. All it would take is one deal. But they don't understand. You got to go through 50 hours of cold calling. You have to go ride around in about 10 neighborhoods. You have to go to the courthouse and go get these lists. It's the back end that nobody loves to see. So I love how you definitely pointed that out.
Thank you. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. That's the part that nobody wants to do. Nobody wants to do the work. They want the result, but they don't want to do the work.
And like, I think I was reading a story. It was like a few years ago. It was a lot of athletes and gym trainers. They started posting their fail videos of like them failing at everything that they're doing, because everybody just sees like we said, like Steph taking the big shots from half court or whatever, but they don't see the work that they're putting in. They don't see all the times they messed up to critique and say, okay, that didn't work. Let me adjust it 5 degrees. Let me take this same skill that I've been working on for 4 days. Let me see if I switch this formula up, if it's going to unlock something. So they started posting that to show them that if you want to get to this level, this is what it's going to take.
Yeah. I like that point because it goes back to how you use trial and error. You can't plan everything out. Everything out there is not going to come out just as straight as success. You know? You're not going to just come out and be the greatest podcaster ever. You got to try. It's trial and error. You just try and try and try. You got to have action. You can't just sit there and plan. You got to have some type of action.
Yeah,
like Andre said.
Yeah, you're right.
Overact, underthink.
Yep. And I definitely like how you just took your action with your podcast. How you said, we had never listened to a podcast before. Like, and that's crazy because a lot of people, they say people succeed in certain markets whenever they don't really have the background or they don't study it because they're doing something that's out of the norm. So whenever you're out of the norm, you're going to stand out from what everyone is doing. So I like how you just took the action. You said, whatever everybody else doing, I don't care. Let me just do me, stay in my lane, and let me go after it.
Yeah, I think that's important. That's another thing. Like when I got into Instagram, the girl that I was telling you about, Valencia, she was like kind of coaching me through it. And she was telling one of the first things she told me, she was like, look at what everybody else in your field is doing and do the complete opposite of that. And that's something that I never really forgot, because I feel like the greatest asset that anybody has is just who they are as a person. But a lot of times we give that up because we try to follow trends. We try to follow and be when we're not. And what works for somebody might not work for somebody else. That's why I think like our podcast is successful. It's always based around like we always throw rap lyrics in. We talk about sports because that's really who we are. Like that's really who we are as a person. So it would be difficult to try to change that. So I'm like, why not just embrace it? Like even for me, being a financial advisor, you know, originally I was I had reservations because, you know, being in my industry is mostly all white men, right? Older. So me as a young black kid with a heavy New York accent, I wasn't sure how, you know, people would receive me. But then I realized I just use that as my advantage because there's a lot of people that could relate to me that can't relate to somebody else. So I don't try to be anybody that I'm not. I just be who I am. And everybody's not gonna, you know, be able to accept it. But there's a lot of people that will. So I think that's important to just be you. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like Master P is from Louisiana. He's not trying to be, you know, from New York. He's not trying to be from California. Like, you know, he hit because he embraced who he was as a person. I think a lot of times we try to follow trends, and that's where you really get lost because it's like you don't know who you are if you're trying to be somebody else. It's like you can't keep that up. It's not sustainable.
Definitely.
That's even in business. A lot of times, I know we talked about it a little bit with stocks. You follow the trends, you're probably going the wrong direction. You got to be doing something that people are not talking about. People don't notice, but that comes from within you. You got to figure out what you know before you can just go and do that.
Yeah, for sure. Even like now, I tell people all the time, like, even with real estate, it's like, okay, just be careful. Like, you know, everybody wants to do real estate right now, and that's great, but understand what you're doing. Like, don't just buy a property because you just see somebody buying a property. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people just jumping into stuff. It's like Bitcoin, same thing. Everybody buying Bitcoin when Bitcoin was on fire. They don't even know what they brought. Like, they brought it at 20,000 and then just went down from there. So it's like, okay, do your research. Like, don't just hear somebody online talking about how much money they made in Forex, and now you just want to do Forex. It's like now you're just jumping on different waves, and it's like you're always going to be the last person to the party. Now it's like something else going to happen in 6 months. So
I actually saw a tweet from Chris Johnson. He was like, I see a lot of these people who started businesses a year ago, and now they're on to something different. They just keep on hopping on different waves. How can you manifest your business? How can you build your brand if you switch up every 6 months? You can't.
You can't do it.
You can't at all.
But it's not based on anything that you really care about. And that happened to me before too. Like, I mean, even me personally. So like in 2012, like when Instagram first started to really pop, I noticed I used to follow a fashion blog called I forgot what it was called, Fashion Climax. So they was like early adapters into like putting people's like brands up, and they was doing ads for people's brands, but it was kind of camouflage. You didn't really know it was an ad. So long story short, I realized what they was doing. I'm like, yo, this is dope. Like, this is a way where you can market somebody's clothing line, and the people don't even know that it's actually an ad because it looks like a regular post. So I'm like, we should start a fashion blog to do this. We did. We started a fashion blog, and it actually was pretty successful. We had like 10,000 followers, but it never really went there because we just did it for money. Like, we didn't have any passion in it. So I say that to say, if you're doing something just to make money, it's not going to stand because at the end of the day, you don't really care about it. So now the podcast is something that we really care about. So it means more than just money. So, but even I fell victim to that before. I did a DJ app, the app for DJs that didn't work. I didn't really care about it. So it's like, I've started businesses before just for money and they never worked because I didn't care about it. I wasn't passionate about it. I was just doing it just to make some money. And a lot of people fall in that trap. So I just encourage anybody, if you want to be an entrepreneur, think about what you really care about, what you're passionate about. Because if you're just doing something just to make money, it's not going to last.
Yeah, that's something we preach on this podcast a lot. It's doing something that you are interested in, or doing your hobby. Make your hobby your business because you're actually interested in that. You're doing that for fun. And why not make money on it? But you got to be focused on giving people value. That's how you really make money. You got to focus first on giving the free value or just giving value in general before you can actually start making the actual big bucks.
Yeah, I agree. You got to give out say you gotta give out samples first. Like that's another thing too. People try to sell like the Instagram. People do social media so wrong. Like they're so pushy. Like as soon as they get on Instagram, they have like one post, and then they trying to sell a seminar tickets. And they trying to sell their product, and it's like you don't even you haven't provided any value at all. You want people to buy stuff from you. Like so. For me, I feel like I'm a soft seller even in business. Like I don't really try to sell. I feel like if the product is good, people gonna ask you to buy it. But you gotta go out of your way to give value first, over deliver more value than they actually need. And then now you're in a position where it's not even selling something, you're just providing a service that people need, and then they'll just pay for it. But people are so eager to just start selling stuff right away online. It comes off like, like real kind of cheesy in my opinion. So I think that's a problem that I see a lot of people do. I see that a lot, no matter what business it is. It's like the only thing that they have on their page is just call me for a consultation. It's like, well, why would I call you? You're not providing any value. I don't
even know if your consultation is worth it because you just telling me to call you.
Exactly.
Like what is the reason? And then a lot of expertise, like a lot of experts, they give you a free consultation call, a free hour consultation call at first.
Yeah.
Some of these people, they just okay, give me a consultation call. It's gonna be $20 or something. Like what? Who are you?
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, that happens all the time in social media. I feel like people are so eager. It's like a microwave thing. Like people just want everything right now. They want to get paid right now. They want to sell right now. They want to do everything right now. And it's like, it doesn't work like that. It happens when it's supposed to happen. So you just got to be patient.
Yeah. And I like how you brought up microwave because I was talking to my grandmother the other day. She's like, I love what you're doing. Just keep on taking your time. She's like, if you think about food out the microwave versus food out the oven, which one tastes better? Mm-hmm. The one that took longer, that came out the oven. That microwave food is going to be hot, but it's going to cool down quicker, and it's not going to taste as good.
That's a fact. Nah, for sure. That's a fact. I agree.
So, Rashad, man, with Earn Your Leisure, I know, like, y'all had the success, and it's not really something that the numbers weren't big to you. Were you guys, like, surprised at how responsive the culture was to the message?
Nah, that's another thing too, man. Like everything happens so fast. Like I say this all the time. It's like people might not believe me, but it's really true. Like we really had no expectations at all. Like we honestly started only reason why I started the podcast because I just wanted to do some extra dialogue. I didn't know how podcasts work, so I didn't even know like what numbers. We found all that out later, but we didn't know anything about podcasts. So we just like anybody listening, they listen. Like it didn't really matter. Like we didn't really have any expectations. So everything that we receive is a blessing because we didn't have any expectations of success. We kind of knew that. I kind of had a feeling that it would do well because the Instagram page already kind of built the following. But I don't know, man. We just put it out and people just really liked it. So yeah, it's just one of those things in life. Every now and then you just, you find something that just really hits. And this is something that just really hit for us. But yeah, we didn't really go into it with any expectations. So we never really thought about it.
That's real. Like, that's actually quite similar to this. Like, we just, It was like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, we always talking about this stuff. We real, like, into this stuff. Let's just make an Instagram page and boom, like the stars aligned and everything just happened.
Yeah. And that's the best. That's the best feeling. Like, because it's like, it's not forced and you don't really, you can't be disappointed if you don't have expectations. So it's like you just going and just doing your best and, see what happens, really.
It kind of reminds me of like whenever you find true love, like whenever you find that one woman, like nothing feels like forced. You ain't got to be like, okay, let me see how I'm going to come at her, how I'm going to spit this game or whatever. It's just natural. It just falls in line like boom, boom, boom. So that's kind of what this reminds me of.
Yeah, I'm still looking for that, so I don't know.
Well, when you find it, you'll be like, I see what he was talking about.
Nah, for sure. Nah, for sure. I completely agree. And like I said, I mean, I feel like for all of us, your page, I seen your page grew fast. And it's like, it just shows how hungry the culture is for financial literacy. I mean, if you think about it, our culture, we really don't know too much about anything, really. I mean, when it comes to health, money, government, we need all kinds of education on every level. And people are hungry for it. So it's like, it's good to be rewarded for something, but it feels more rewarding to actually give people information that they didn't know. And I feel like people are learning on Instagram. Like Instagram is becoming like a library. Like people are actually learning on Instagram, and that's dope too. So it's encouraging to see, people really interested in money, because for a long time nobody was. So.
At all.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the reasons why I wanted to get involved with BWR, is because like we always like talked about how it's not taught in schools, like financial literacy is not taught in schools, and we complained about it, but I want it to be the difference. It's not just complaining about it. Let's make it a place where people can learn. Let's make sure that people can go to it and actually access it for free, and they can get all this financial information.
Yeah, for sure. And people learn differently too. It's like now, it's not the same way of learning where you had to go to the library and read a book. Just like people learning from podcasts, people learning from YouTube. So, people are absorbing information in different ways. So any way that somebody can get information is a blessing, whether it be Instagram, whether it be podcast, YouTube, a book. You don't have to just learn from reading now. You can learn from a lot of different ways. So
yeah,
sure.
Thanks.
And I think that's probably like one of the biggest reasons why we're so behind, because obviously a lot of people don't like to read. So even with the development of like audiobooks and Audible, like it makes that information easier to access.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, nobody really likes to read. Honestly, I don't read. Be completely honest with you about it. Like, I listen to audiobooks. That's how I really digest information. I retain information better. I'm an audio learner. I'm not really a visual learner. Like, so I'll read something and forget about it next week. But if I hear something, I'll remember it forever. That's just my learning style. But yeah, I mean, just to be completely honest with you, everybody has short attention spans. We're in a microwave society.
Yes, sir.
People are lazy, so nobody wants to read. So it's like you got to give the people the information in a way they can digest it.
Yes, sir. And speaking of like the information and just teaching, man, that's gonna lead us into like our next topic with you, bro. How did you get into educating high schoolers on financial literacy?
Yeah, so my friend Troy, who does the podcast with me, he's a teacher. He's a public school teacher. So he brought me in his classroom one day to do a lesson on financial literacy to his students. And then that led to, he runs a summer program in the summer for 6 weeks for kids. He gives them job internships, and they go on college tours. They do a lot of stuff. So part of that is he asked me to come in and do like a 6-week course on financial literacy. So from that, I developed a curriculum, and now I'm in a couple of schools. So yeah, that's how that came about. It came about from him, inviting me in his classroom, and just taking it from there.
Yeah, that's dope, bro. I definitely respect you for that, because obviously whenever you get into them at a younger age, it's easier to shape their mind and just to teach them and break it down to them at a simpler form, because children, they're easier to teach and like just reach, because us as adults, we overcomplicate everything. We didn't had certain failures or whatever, so we're scared to do this or scared to do that. So I definitely respect you for that, man.
And really, not only just like the kids are easier to teach, it's also like that's really another thing why we wanted to do this so bad, because we wanted to reach back to people that were younger than us, because we felt like if we ourselves would have learned this when we were younger, we'd be further in life. So it's just extra dope that you taking that time out to go and teach the kids, man.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, like you said, financial literacy isn't something that is taught. Well, it's becoming taught in some schools, but for the most part, it's really not taught in schools. So it's important. If you think about it, it's pretty much more important than everything else that we learn in school. At least financial literacy should be part of every school's curriculum, because no matter what you do in life, you're going to have to, balance your checkbook. You're going to have a retirement account. You're going to have to, deal with credit cards and, mortgages and stuff like that. So why not teach teach people these things as opposed to letting them learn on their own and just make a bunch of mistakes.
Yeah, and teaching them about valence electrons and stuff. Like, I'm not splitting no atoms.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's true.
I actually got a theory on all that, like in terms of why they don't teach us that. And people might call me a conspiracy theorist, but I think it contributes to like the GDP of the country. Let me say it that way. Whenever you don't teach people how to manage their money,
they're gonna spend it more frivolously.
Yeah, and like you can fuel the economy better with consumers than you can with investors.
Yeah, I mean that might be true. That might be true. And I also think that school system is just so outdated. Like, you know, they can't change it. It's like the same curriculum that they've been running for the last 50, 60 years. And there's a lot of bureaucracy with schools. I found out just even dealing with public schools specifically, it's hard to change a curriculum. Like, it's almost impossible to change curriculum. Like, it has to get voted on and go through state government and all kinds of stuff. So school system is so outdated. Like, it's so prehistoric with everything, that it's just really difficult to make changes that needed to be made.
That is definitely crazy.
So, Rashad, man, we want to segue into the next thing, kind of going back to you being a financial advisor, man. What would you say is the secret to acquiring assets?
Well, I don't really think that's the secret. I just think that, you know, you build a pyramid one brick at a time, and you have to put together a plan, educate yourself, and then just start. That's the biggest mistake that most people make, is that they just never start. So whether it's putting money into your retirement plan, whether it's buying stock, whether it's trying to buy your first property, you know, you just have to have a game plan and just start with a little bit over the course of time. A lot of times people get discouraged because they don't feel like they have enough. So they save up, or they try to save up, but you never really have enough, because by the time you end up saving up, you end up spending it because you have to do something else. You know, your tire blows out, your kid gets sick, whatever. So I'm a big proponent in what you call dollar cost averaging. So that's like putting a small amount of money away on a monthly basis or weekly basis or whatever. And over the course of time, that builds up. So I think that to me, that's key. And that's one of the great things with the 401k, is that it kind of forces people to put money away. That's like the only form of savings that most people have where they actually do that, because they're not doing it themselves. It's being done for them. But you can take that same idea and do it yourself. You don't have to have the job do it for you. And as I said, that could be just in a regular savings account. That could be in your college savings. That could be in insurance. That could be in a mutual fund, stocks, whatever. And then, you know, you save enough. Now you can buy a property. So over the course of time, you know, it's like all things, it takes time. But just put some money away. Just put some money away every single month, whether it's 10%, 15%, whatever you can afford to put away. Just put that away with a game plan of, okay, now you have it saved. What do you want to do with it next? That's, to me, that's and also education is important, because it's like a lot of times you can have money, but if you're not educated, then you don't know what to do with it. It's kind of like, you know, you're just going to blow it, because now if you have $1 million with no education, you either have to trust somebody that, you know, to help you out. And that's a risk, because who knows if they have your best interest at heart. Or you just got to try to wing it and do it yourself, and you're going to make mistakes and probably end up blowing the money anyway. So education is extremely important. If you're educated, now when you get the money, you'll be in a position to make smart decisions. But if you're not educated, it doesn't matter, because you'll blow the money anyways. So.
All true facts.
I actually have a question. So is there a such thing as spreading your money too thin? And what I mean by this is, like, if you have an emergency fund, right? You got your emergency, you're funding that. You've got you're paying down a debt. You are putting money towards another investment. You got your IRA, you got your 401k. Is there such thing as like spreading yourself too thin? Maybe I should stop spending so much money on other things and just focus on one thing at a time?
I mean, everybody's train of thought is different, but I'm a big proponent in diversification. So I don't think that, I mean, of course, you don't want to put money into like a million different things, but I'm a proponent in spreading out money, not putting all the money in one thing, because certain things are for different reasons. So like if you put money into a 401k, that's for your retirement. It's not the best place to take money from if you need it for anything other than retirement. You get penalized, or if you borrow from, you got to pay it back. So a lot of times people only have money in their 401k to leave their job, they cash it out. Now you got to pay like 35, 40% of the money in taxes. If you would have had money in other places, now you can take it from that. So I'm a proponent in putting money in different things because they all have different uses, and you're going to end up using them for different reasons. But like I said, you just want to be intelligent. Maybe like 3 different things or something like that. Like you don't want to have 100 different things because that could kind of defeat the purpose. But for the average person is not stretching themselves too thin. The average person is not doing anything, or they're just doing one thing. So from what I see as a financial advisor, I've almost never seen somebody that stretched themselves too thin and invested. It's the complete opposite. People just don't have enough. They just have one particular thing. So.
How would you suggest someone start on their path to like financial freedom though? Like not just investing, but becoming financially free?
Education is important. I can't stress that enough. Education is important. And also you got to have the mindset too, because even in education, you could be educated, you can read all the books in the world, but if you don't have the will, the drive, and the hunger to be financially free, then you won't be, right? So, it takes courage to invest because it's different. Like the average person, you just work a job and, it's kind of like your norm. It takes courage to step outside your norm and to do things that are not common, especially, in our communities. A lot of communities it is common, but in our communities, entrepreneurship, investing, saving, that's not common. So to do that actually takes courage because now you're going against the trend. So it takes courage, and you have to actually want to do it too. Like some people don't want to be financially free. They're comfortable with working a regular job and having a pension. If they, they'd be a teacher, a firefighter, or nothing wrong with that. That's what you want to do. If that's what you choose to do. I see that all the time though. People, like I had one guy, he told me, I never forget, it was like 10 years ago. He was like, I should have been a firefighter. I'm like, why? He's like, I just do quick 30 years as a job and then you get a lifetime pension. I'm like, a quick 30 years. That's your life. Like, you know what I mean? But that's really how we train to think. Like, it's like, so a lot of people think like that. And if that's what you choose to do, then that's what you choose to do. But if you want something different, you gotta, like I said, you gotta actually want that for yourself. Because with that, it comes responsibilities. A lot of times, especially being an entrepreneur, people don't understand, like, it's like, okay, it sounds good, but you might not get paid. You have to be comfortable with that. You have to be comfortable working till 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, you have to be comfortable doing things that you don't do if you're an employee. So that's not for everybody. And investing is the same thing. Even like real estate, everybody wants to buy real estate, but it's like, okay, like, are you comfortable being a landlord? Are you comfortable evicting somebody if you have to? Are you comfortable, doing all these things, hiring a property man? It's not just like, that's why I like stocks. And I encourage people to invest in stocks a bit if they're not hands-on investors, because stocks is, you don't have to be hands-on. You still got to kind of be hands-on because you got to educate yourself. But like real estate, you really got to be hands-on. And even with that, it's a business. Like I look at real estate as like a business. So people are lazy. Like a lot of times people are lazy. So that's the biggest problem. And it's like, everything sounds good in theory until you actually have to do it. And then it doesn't sound so good anymore. So that's something that only you can really wrestle with yourself and to see, like, if that's what you really want out of your life, because that's important.
Yeah. I like that point because, like, I had somebody recently ask me, like, what do you do for fun? Like, what do you go out and drink, party? And now I work. I go work, come home, and I work on BWR stuff, and I work on other investment stuff. That's it. That's my life. That's what I want, because in 20, 30 years, that's what my plan is. And my mind is 20, 30 years. I don't want to have to do that. The plan is to not have to work.
Notice whenever we post stuff about like becoming an entrepreneur or you should invest or whatever, we get some backlash. People like, what if people just want to be working 9 to 5? What if they just want to be secured by their job? Just like, we're just showing you a different light. We're not saying you have to do it.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
You could go.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's why I feel like the same thing, you know. And I always say everything is not for everybody. And once again, that's the beauty of Instagram. It's like you don't have to follow a finance page if you're not into finance. Like you don't have to follow a fitness page if you're not into fitness. Like, you know, but if you are into it, then you should educate yourself and you should, you know, get as much information as you possibly can. But I realize that some people, no matter how much you teach them or you educate, they're not receptive to the information. Like I said, it doesn't make them a bad person. That's just not who they are as a person. And they're not business minded. So you know, and that's something to keep in mind, because I feel like, you know, in order for somebody, like you said, to be financially free or you got to really have a conversation with yourself and see, like, mentally, mindset is very important. So if you don't have the right mindset, you can read all the books, you can have all the mentors, you can do everything, and it's not going to matter because your mind is not there. So
facts. That's something we preach heavy. That mindset, man. You gotta have that mindset.
Yeah. Whose quote was that? They're like,
John Henry with the Rich Dad.
No, I was talking about, like, I think it was Terica. She said being an entrepreneur isn't for chumps.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like you gotta have that mental toughness, because like you said, sometimes there's gonna be times where you're up at 2:00 in the morning trying to get a project done, or you might not make no money for a week or two,
and the bills due next week.
And then you're just like, man, what I'm about to do? But you still got to be able to push through and find it within yourself to where you're like, okay, we're gonna figure something out. Is whenever the bills come, we're gonna get it paid, or you got to suffer those the consequences.
Yeah, consistency too. I can't stress that enough either. That's another thing. People are not consistent. That's one thing I learned in life. The average person is not consistent, and consistency goes a long way. So what people do a lot of times, especially with social media, they say they want to get on social media and they'll start, and they don't see any traction for a couple weeks. They'll keep going, maybe a month, and then they just quit. That happens all the time. Dieting, relationships, business, people quit. People are not, it takes a different type of discipline to do something consistently for a year, for 2 years, like every single day for 2 years. That's a tremendous amount of discipline and commitment. And going back to sports, like I think that sports helped me out a lot is business, because that's the repetition. Like we used to play basketball and practice every single day. So now I just carry that same work ethic over into business. But I see all the time with people, it sounds like, to me, it's kind of hard to wrap my brain around, but I see it so much that people are just not consistent. Like they don't follow through and they don't do it on a consistent basis. And that's the quickest way to really get derailed, because everything moves so quick. People will forget about you very quickly. If you're not consistent, only takes a couple weeks, maybe even shorter, and you're not even relevant anymore. So
you ain't lying, man. Like I can relate to like the Nicki Minaj thing. Like people, I feel like they forgot about Nicki quick, but I feel like she's still gonna come back. But man, you gotta be consistent, bro. You definitely
music. It happens all the time in music. Like people, you know, they get one hit wonders. Like, you know, you reach success and then you get lazy. It's human nature to rest on your laurels. That's human nature. Like, you know, and it's like, but ultimately that should be like when you start working harder. Really, it's like
that should be that fuel for you.
Yeah, for sure. But you know, people, I don't know. Like it's that discipline is very, very hard to come by in business and life in general. But that's something that I always tell people. Like if they want to be successful, you have to be consistent. Like, and consistency is not sexy. Like consistency is boring, but it gets the job done. Like, it gets the job done.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a bar right there. It's boring, but it gets the job done.
Yeah, no, it's a fact. It's a fact. So it's exciting. I mean, it's exciting for like the first week or two. It's like a relationship. Like you might be head over heels with somebody the first week or the first month, but what happens after that? Now it becomes like, okay, now you really got to work on it. And that's when people is like, all right, let me move on to something new, because now I'm not excited anymore. Same thing with business. Like after the first initial rush wears off, now what? Now you really got to put the work in, because now you're not even excited, but you still got to do it, even if you don't feel like doing it. That's what separates so many people. It's like once they don't feel like doing it, they stop doing it.
And I feel like that's what people get being an entrepreneur messed up, because a lot of people want to become an entrepreneur to leave their job because, like, oh man, I'm tired of working every day. I'm tired of waking up at this time and doing this. But you don't realize that's when you got to go even harder, because if you go to work and you half-ass and bullshit, you still gonna get that check.
Yeah, you gonna get paid.
But once you become an entrepreneur or you start to do it on your own, you got to be consistent. Like you said, you got to go hard every single day.
You the one that's producing your income now. You the only factor. So, Rashad, man, it's a little segment we do. It's called What's on Your Timeline. We like to ask people, like, what's something that you either seen or posted on Instagram that you felt was impactful, or something that you just wanted to speak on, man?
I'm trying to think of one particular thing that I've seen recently that really spoke to me. But I mean, just a lot of dope stuff. Like even like with your page and a bunch of other pages that I follow, where I might see a story about an entertainer or about some finance stuff. I follow CNBC. I get a lot of stuff from CNBC, and it's like, to me, Instagram is becoming like my Wall Street Journal. Really, like I scroll through Instagram and I'll pick up stories like, oh, that's dope. I didn't know that. And I think people do that with our page, and I do that with other people's pages as well. Even like sports, like I follow Bleacher Report. So like I'll look at what happened with the game last night. I'll look at Instagram before I look at ESPN. So that's really where I get all my information from right now. It's Instagram, like CNN. Like I follow everything that I need for news, I follow on Instagram. So if I want to get politics, I go to CNBC. If I want to get finances, I go to finance page. If I want to go to sports, I get a sports page. So for me, it's just so much. I really can't think of one particular thing, but like every day is something.
Rashad, man, can you tell the followers where they can find you and a little bit more about
what you have to offer them, any type of services, or just like you said, where they can find you?
Yeah, for sure. So Instagram, my Instagram handle is my name, Rashad Bilal. So RashadBilal. That's my personal page. My podcast page is Earn Your Leisure. So you check out the podcast. We're on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all that stuff. My website for my business is BilalGroupLLC.com. That's my financial planning business website. And yeah, those are the best places to really check me out. Find me, post on Instagram all the time on my personal page and the podcast page, and check out the podcast as well. The podcast is, like I said, it's kind of based around sports and entertainment, but we talk about a lot of different stuff related to finance. So we drop weekly episodes every Tuesday, 5 o'clock Eastern time. So yeah, that's how you can be in tune. Check me out.
Yeah, y'all be sure to check out the Earn Your Leisure podcast if you haven't, because that thing really is dope.
It's
full of
really
gems,
dope,
bro.
Man.
Full of gems.
Appreciate it.
No problem, bro.
Well, Rashad, my brother, we appreciate you getting on here with us. This is episode 13.
Yeah. We appreciate all the listeners for listening to us constantly on a week-to-week basis. Thank you for the love and support. Y'all keep on following the page. Shout out to all the international followers that are finding us. We appreciate y'all.
Shout out to my man,
boy,
BWR, man. Yeah.
My boy out in Bermuda, man. We didn't forget about you, bro. And just keep on rocking with us. We're going to keep on hitting y'all with some dope stuff. Y'all make sure y'all check out the website, blackwealthrenaissance.com. We got some more blog content coming to you guys. Of course, like we said, we got all the resources for you, the realtor directory. We also have the calculators for you, the budgeting calculators. If you want to save for retirement, we have a calculator for that.
We got all that.
Yeah, y'all.
All that and more.
Just go
to blackwealthrenaissance.com and check it out. But yeah, this is Black Wealth Renaissance signing out.
Peace.